Hi there, my name is Gemma Manning and welcome to this very special episode of Business the Hard Way. Today I'm in my spiritual home of Singapore and it's actually the first time I'm doing Business the Hard Way in person in studio in Singapore with an amazing fellow female entrepreneur. So today on this special episode I welcome the one and only Amy Bell. As I said, a fellow Australian but an amazing entrepreneur here in Singapore. Amy's journey is one not to miss. She's lived here for more than 13 years, but what's so remarkable about her story and her journey is that she's been heavily involved in the F&B sector and has brought some amazing Australian brands into the region, as well as created her own amazing business called The Meat Club. So today, tune in, listen to Amy's story. You will hear about how to take a brand like GYG out of Australia, a big international, an Australian brand into the region, hear more about the Yochi journey and, of course, her journey with The Meat Club. Tune in. Amy, welcome to Business the Hard Way. This is so special to be here in Singapore, actually first time in studio doing Business the Hard Way, and I couldn't think of a better guest to have on Business the Hard Way, so warm welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I usually start every episode of Business the Hard Way sharing my connection with each guest. So as I was saying to you just before, I'm a little selective as to who I have. So this is more about quality, not quantity, Business the Hard Way. And it's about me inviting people who I would say are in my tribe, people that I've gotten to know over the years in my own business journey, and people who inspire me or that I connect with and who I consider as friends and people I can count on. And you're certainly one of my favourite people here in Singapore.
Oh, thank you.
One of my favourite female entrepreneurs, because I don't think there's many of us, and a fellow Australian pocket rocket who's done incredible things here in Singapore. So thank you. And I also wanted to say a huge congratulations on 10 years in the Meat Club.
Thank you.
And I really want to kind of dive deeper into your business journey, but I guess that's one thing that connects us, that we've shared 10 years. So 10 years in Asia. So I hadn't made that connection until I was doing a bit more research on the Meat Club. And so you established in 2015, is that right?
Yeah.
And so I established my business here in Asia in 2015. So, which I didn't realise that we had established our businesses the same year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so 10 years is a huge milestone.
Yeah.
So I really want to kind of get you to share your journey, but I also wanted to reflect on the first time I met you. So for our listeners, I mean, our own connection started in 2018, I think.
Yes, roughly.
Because I moved here in 2017. And I'll never forget that I was at the Australian High Commissioner's residence and I was invited to speak around International Women's Day. And I remember speaking with you afterwards. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but you said to me at the time, Gemma, you really should write a book about your story and journey here. And I wrote the book the year later. So, I mean, you inspired me and you were part of my inspiration to you planted the seed for me to write about this girl. So a very special connection.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Of course. Yeah, I remember it vividly. You shared your story to an audience of all females. And so I guess it's a full circle moment because International Women's Day is not that far off.
Yeah.
And I think you did have the whole audience just mesmerised by your story. I think your tenacity to go through what you did and to build what you have is worth sharing. And I'm so glad you wrote the book. It was beautiful.
Well, thank you. Well, book number 2, Business the Hard Way, is coming.
Oh, okay.
So you will feature. People on the podcast feature. So again, thank you and congratulations on 10. So as you just described, I mean, business journeys are tough, you know, like it's never usually for the faint-hearted and it's usually a journey, but building a business in another country, I think, is a whole other ball game. Now, you're a fellow Australian. I think you're from Sydney
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
But no, you're right to say we did move from Sydney.
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me more about your journey to how you got to Singapore and then how the Meat Club, which I believe has also evolved so much over 10 years. But yeah, to tell us your story about how did you get here and then what made you decide to found the Meat Club?
I'll try and make a long story relatively short.
No, take all the time you want.
I was a lawyer in a former life, so I practice in both Brisbane and Sydney. I was very fortunate to actually do a lot of sports law. My sister, Emma Snowsill, was an Olympian. She ran triathlon in Beijing 2008. So I was doing a lot of work with the Australian Olympic Committee at the time. My husband, Josh, was working at UBS, and he was given the opportunity to meet with the founders of Guzman and Gomez. I actually look like their brand ambassador today. So he met with Stephen and Robert in Sydney many, many years ago now. And over the course of a couple of months, they started the conversation about him joining their head office, which is another story in itself. And then the idea of a master franchise came up. So at that point in time, he was working in GYG Sydney, had left UBS. I was still working as a lawyer. We signed the master franchise agreement to come to Singapore. And with that, I think I'd observed Josh's change in attitude towards work in itself. Not to say that banking is not the right environment, but it certainly wasn't the right environment for his personality. And seeing how happy he was making that shift gave me the, I guess, motivation to look elsewhere for myself. So when we first moved here, I had a job as a sports consultant. And I worked there for a couple of years, happened to fall pregnant after we got married with our first daughter. And through no fault of this business, I think I was their worst employee because I was somewhat distracted by a few other projects on the side. I was made redundant. So I found myself heavily pregnant and out of work. And as you know, Singapore work environment can be pretty difficult at the best of times with their employment passes. And I really saw an opportunity, having seen the cost of beef landed for GYG, and then going to a supermarket and seeing the same speck of meat being sold for 4 times the price. So we very quickly realised we didn't want to look at physical retail stores because of our experience with GYG. We knew it needed to be online and by a subscription, which is still our core business model to this day. So it's an online butcher with home delivery. You can, of course, check out on a one-time order. But the real, I think, savings and the magic is with our subscription model. It's just one thing that as any busy parent has to just not think about.
Absolutely. I think those kind of businesses have kind of popped up also in Australia, and I'm not sure actually if there's the Meat Club equivalents here in Singapore. I know like in Australia they've got different subscriptions now with whether it's vegetarian. There's lots that have popped up. So it makes it easier, but I guess the quality, as you're saying as well, I think quality and price here in Singapore is, you realise once you've been living here how fortunate we are in Australia with produce. And my own experience living here, it was a challenge. I think it's gotten better over the years, but knowing what to cook, where to get your produce, making sure it's affordable, all of those things, which I guess we all face as families.
Going back 10 years, there was, I dare argue, like not the type of boutique cafes that you find now, let alone affordable meat.
Exactly.
So we found that it was either, supermarket quality, which at that point in time was just not of a quality that we were so fortunate to have growing up. On the other end of the spectrum, the butchers that we were looking at were at a price point that we frankly couldn't afford. We were pouring everything into starting GYG and then the Meat Club.
So just from a timing perspective, so you were incorporated 2015, but what year did you actually move to Singapore?
I think it was 2013.
Okay. So you've been probably one of the Australians you're in that kind of period now where you're a very long-term resident here.
Very much. Singapore is very much home for us now.
And so GYG, and no doubt, it's a success story, an incredible story in itself. How did you manage those early years you had your first daughter, GYG going on. I think you wore a few hats, that hat. But then also, you're really the founder of Meat Club and it kind of rests with you. So how did you juggle all of that in those early years?
I think first and foremost, we can't deny the fact that Singapore's great a great environment for working mothers to have in-house help. So we were very fortunate and still are fortunate to have somebody to live with us and cook and clean and manage the household with me. I think back then we just did anything and everything we could to keep the lights on. There were days, months, in fact years, where we would be left with about $30 at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I think if you and I caught up for coffee during that time, I probably brought my own banana bread or nuts because I couldn't afford anything else. So in terms, I'd like to say that I had all my stuff together. I genuinely didn't. And working all-nighters was not uncommon. Going down to the warehouse to do pick and pack in the freezer was not uncommon. Packing all the deliveries. But, you know, I'm so glad for that groundwork because I think if it wasn't for that level of hardship, which I kind of wish upon anyone really to go through, because it's really once you go through that, pardon me, that you can see, you know, the upside and really appreciate where you've come from.
Oh, absolutely.
So in terms of trying to manage it, I think it's, being organised, absolutely. I think that goes without saying, leveraging what you can with the tools that you have and just never giving up. Yeah.
That's the true spirit of an entrepreneur, I think. I mean, you make so many valid points there too, Amy, in that I think a lot of people from the outside think being a business owner or being in business as an entrepreneur is kind of glamorous, or I've had a lot of people say over the years, aren't you lucky? Or people make assumptions about all sorts of things. But I think it's the stories like this that are the real world stories around. It is tough. It's not for the faint-hearted, and most of us have to go through the highs and the lows and ride pretty difficult times, which, as you're describing, you know, you often sacrifice, go without, which again, I don't know. I don't think everybody understands that unless sometimes you're in it yourself doing it. In those early years, as you're describing, as you're building the foundations for what is a sustainable, successful brand here, like logistically, how because I mean, I think your business is quite a logistical business, and we've advised clients coming up from Australia around produce, like the regulations coming into Singapore, like the best way of doing it, and things like that. So those early days, was it quite challenging even being able to get, you know, so you'd be getting meat from Australia. There's the packaging, how did and then you were with was it with Redmart or Lazada? Like you had the supermarkets as well. So can you just share a little bit more about how? How?
Well, we always had the idea that the Meat Club was going to be a logistics and marketing business. So despite appearances, we're not butchers in any sense of the word. All of our product comes cut and packed from Australia, and it's retail ready. So no one's opening it, no one's cutting it, no one's freezing and defrosting it. So from a food and health perspective, it's as good as you can get from the farm in Australia. And I think for us, we were always very much focused on making sure we worked with partners that could grow with us. And that's not to say that we haven't had different suppliers over the period of time that we've operated, but I'm very proud to say that the stable kind of chicken, beef, lamb, all these suppliers are the same suppliers we've had for over 7 years. And our relationship couldn't be stronger.
That's great.
And we're very passionate about the quality aspect and making sure that things like the environment and animal welfare are not just, you know, side topics, that they are things that really take into account. But to your question around logistics, I think it was, it's hard to cast my mind back to a point where, I mean, we originally only started with beef and then it was beef and lamb. And then during my second pregnancy, it was actually chicken. I was craving chicken. Pardon me. And so I think as we loaded more products on and we became more established and obviously had the operational know-how, all of that became a lot easier. And logistically, we air and sea freight products up. Obviously, air freight is a lot more pricey than sea. So we try and forecast our order demands much better than what we used to.
Okay, yeah.
But there were circumstances where we couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
And there's times where we've been out of stock and, our best-selling products are no longer on the website. What do you do? So there are big learning curves, and we've got a lot more sophisticated with all of those processes now.
And did COVID impact any of this for you? Like
enormously.
Yeah.
Very much.
How did that all work during that period?
I think, and look, I must preface this by saying that COVID was a difficult time for everyone. And I think for many families, many businesses, there was a lot of hardship. I thankfully have a very different experience with COVID. I think COVID was on a personal level was a fantastic reason to stop and rethink, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Up until that point, whilst I was trying to be as present as I could as a mother, I didn't have anything like maternity care and maternity cover. So I was back in the office when the girls were very young. And we weren't accustomed to this whole idea of flexible work and working from home arrangements. And it was a really good opportunity for us to stop, pause and think, what are we doing? And can we shift our mindset around what a working day and working week look like?
Yeah.
So to have the time back with my daughters was very special. And yes, it was difficult working out of a small apartment, but they were honestly some of my fondest memories. So that was on a personal level. On a business front, we were super fortunate. Firstly, in the case of Guzman and Gomez, Josh and his team had already recognised the benefits of delivery, and there were very few businesses on these platforms like Uber Eats, which no longer exists, but Grab, Deliveroo, etc. So when that came, he was able to very quickly turn off and had that first mover advantage.
That's great.
So that was great for GYG. For Meat Club, we very quickly had stock issues because there was a run on the website. And again, I can't be more thankful for the support that we had from people over that period of time, because our cost for freight far exceeded previous benchmarks. I think it increased by $7 overnight, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's based on a cost per kilo, it's enormous.
Yeah.
So our cost of goods went through the roof, and we obviously had to increase our own prices to cover that buffer. But again, we were just very fortunate that because we had an established brand, we had the trust.
Yeah.
People knew of the quality and the provenance.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate.
Yeah. And with the amazing community and your loyal customer base here, are they Australian expats? Is it the local community that's also got behind your brand? Because I also think, and I'm keen to hear your views, a lot of companies there's been my own journey, but we also advise companies coming into the region. And there is I think to crack the local market and really be a loved brand by the locals is what you ultimately want to achieve.
Definitely.
As well. And I feel, you've done that. So what's that experience been like for you?
Well, huge. Again, just reflecting on GYG's experience, our first stores were all CBD specific.
Yeah.
So we were very much focused on making sure that we cracked that CBD crowd. And as we grew, our outlets grew with us, and they went out into more, residential areas. And now happily we're in the heartlands, and again have been very overwhelmed by that support. So that was a very strategic decision to start in the middle and branch out.
And so just quickly, Amy, just for the listeners, because
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, because the listeners will be kind of in different places. So GYG is a great another great Australian brand. But how many stores or outlets do you now have here in Singapore?
We now have 23.
And that's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
It really is, because I've been reading a little bit on the F&B industry here in Singapore, and there's a lot of mixed reports or commentary around the difficult nature of the industry, but how good brands like GYG are probably the fast growth ones with good models and the scalability and the ability to have these out. So 23 outlets is, and as you said, the heartlands in Singapore is really where the local communities live. That's the real Singapore. So to be embraced by the heartlands is no easy feat either.
Absolutely. And look, I can't sit here and take any credit for this. Whilst I may have done marketing for GYG, some time ago, Adora Chow, our CMO in Asia, in Singapore, Josh, my husband, our head, and our other business partner, they're all doing an amazing job at managing this. And thankfully I have taken a step back, but am very proud of their achievements. Yeah. In the case of the Meat Club, you're right. Our first customer base was definitely expat centric. I remember taking Harriet as a baby with me to a local farmers market, which are not very common here. I mean, in Australia, you'll find a farmers market in every suburb on a Saturday, Sunday, selling amazing produce, but that still hasn't really been a concept here that's taken off with any gusto. But carrot sticks into cravings. I'm sure you would have remembered Terry Ann. Shout out to Terry Ann. She was a wonderful ambassador for us, and we ran barbecue grills out of her outlet at Dempsey.
Oh my God, that was
every
my favourite.
Saturday for years.
I didn't know that. So I'm going back to, because our girls, we digress, but go to Invictus.
Yes.
So I used to drop the girls, or we would pick them up and go to Carrot Sticks, and it was such a ritual. But they're another amazing brand. Yeah, and she's since left to return to Melbourne, but it was really a very, I think, expats supporting expats. Yeah. That was our first mover advantage. Yeah. And slowly over time, we've gained the trust of locals. And again, which I'm just so grateful for that level of support. Yeah. With that growth, we now offer more localized products as well. So cuts that, shabu shabu, yakiniku, which are particularly great over Chinese New Year. Yeah. And even just some of our chicken cuts like wings and drumettes that are a little bit more popular. Yeah. Incredible. So you find that being now embraced in the local community, does that kind of reflect, the need here for, good quality is kind of respected by, or as a point of consideration for locals?
Absolutely. I think expats have always had that as I don't want to say backbone, what's the word I'm looking for, but that's always been part of their DNA. Yeah. They look for quality and provenance. And I'm very excited to see the transition that's happening in Singapore. Yeah. I mean, every other morning there's a run club. There's these small and large franchise-based gyms that are coming here, and I think for someone that is, does a lot of movement on a daily basis.
And your sport background, I guess, it's full circle kind of, but yeah.
It is, but it is really exciting to see that Singaporeans are looking what's on their plate. What's the salt content? Is there MSG? Where is this sugar? And understanding what's put in the products that they're eating. It's very common for us. I hate the terminology, but as a pack flipper, I will always read the ingredients. I tend to ignore the nutritional tables because I want to know what's in it. Yeah. And if there's, again, I'm going to be, it's not the popular opinion, but if there's typically 6 ingredients or more in a packet, I won't buy it. I try and make a lot of products at home and involve the girls in that cooking process, just so that they also understand the importance of what they're eating. Yeah, that's a conversation for another time.
No, I think we bond over that as well. I think but seeing those changes, I guess, here, I mean, because I think it has changed, and that's a really great thing.
It's really heartening,
and great opportunities for local brands as well as others kind of tapping into that.
We absolutely, and we're seeing it. We've run 2 run clubs now ourselves.
Okay, so this is an initiative under the Meat Club.
Under the Meat Club, yeah.
That's great.
For our 10-year anniversary, we did 3 in-person events. So one was a run club at Ice Bath Club with a local PT, Naz, from Elevate Gym in the city. We had a 10-year decade dinner at Bedrock restaurant in Sentosa.
Beautiful.
And we also did a yoga studio takeover with Yoga Movement out at Serangoon. Peter and Alicia Through were very supportive of that. And we really are trying to connect what is essentially an online community with an offline community. And you can only do that by showing up and bringing people together.
But that's, I think, a beautiful thing about what you bring to the Meat Club. I think your vision as an entrepreneur and a marketer almost, because a lot of brands I also see struggle with online businesses to create community. And I mean, the podcast is called Business the Heart Way, because I'm a big believer in doing business with heart, and if you do it authentically, the results kind of show for themselves. And I feel you are doing it with heart. the meat club.
Thank you.
But, you can see in the community and making the connections, and it's about the meat, but it's bigger than that.
Yeah, there you go. And again, I can't sit here and take claim for any of this because Ishan, one of our team members who joined us last year, has been spearheading this whole community drive, and I owe him a lot of credit for bringing that kind of vision to life. He's done a rebrand.
That's fantastic. I am loving my
coffee cup.
Happy 10-year anniversary.
Thank you. And together with Brad, our CEO, we've got Elfin, our customer service representative and operations head, as well as Shamir, who is our IT in-house guy. And between the five of us, we've really can be, I think, very proud of what we're providing and offering the Singapore community. So let's just hope it keeps going from strength to strength.
I mean, 10 years is it's not for the faint-hearted being in business, running a business. I think the stats are quite incredible. I'm sure like 9 out of 10 business fail in the first 3 years. Then if you go to 5 years, that's fewer businesses survive 5. Then you go to 10, again, fewer business, and so forth. So I think I mentioned before, Manny & Co. turns 18 next.
Congratulations.
Next month. But I do know creating a sustainable business from experience takes a lot of grit, a lot of determination, patience, all the traits that you carry building the meat club. But not only have you stopped at the meat club, you being a crazy entrepreneur type, you've just launched a second business here in Singapore, which I'm really excited to kind of share and then talk about. Yeah. But just on the 10 years before we get to your new venture, the meat club you've taken from nothing, you've built it from scratch. You've taken it into the heartlands, into the community, and you've done such an incredible job. Do you have any standout kind of win, like have there been any challenges and any wins that you think, that you would reflect on going, this is what I've learnt from this, and I guess what you're going to be carrying into this next business venture?
Or challenges. There's a long list. One in particular stands out where we had a cash at bank issue and we were forced to do a fire sale, which was very unfortunate. I think the learning there was you can never take your eyes off the numbers. And in this particular case, I had a certain level of trust with an individual that probably shouldn't have been placed there. So that has always stuck with me in particular. There was a day where I went to the office for a fire sale telling people that we were moving warehouse. It was anything but that. But at the same time, my husband, Josh, went to the lawyers and we were just trying to understand if we were breaking any Singapore corporations law. Obviously, being a lawyer myself, I wasn't quite across the local laws in that regard and making sure we weren't trading whilst insolvent. So again, just you can look at it two ways. Obviously, there's a very negative experience and the feelings that I had around that individual and what happened, and I, was obviously very upset. But on the flip side, I think the key learning was you can't ever take your eyes off the numbers. You can't always trust everyone, which is not, that sounds very negative, but it just means you just have to always have a level of involvement, and you can always kind of carry yourself out of a bad situation. And we were really fortunate. And I think a lot of people would have hated me over the course of that week because I really, really sold hard to get us out of a very negative position. And we were so fortunate to have people to back us during that time. So that was one of the challenges. In terms of what I would carry over into, this new venture, is I think a lot of things, systems being 1, 2 is obviously people, and 3, just backing yourself to a point where you know that you will always get up and do what's necessary to get things done.
I mean, that is, I again, when I'm kind of coaching or talking to other budding entrepreneurs, if you can't back yourself or believe in yourself, nobody really will. And then to believe in what you're doing at times. You know, as you're describing, you'll have those moments where you feel like a failure or you feel like you're not doing a great job, but you still then have to show up, be present, somehow roll out of bed when you don't want to. So, it's tough, but that belief is no doubt what continues to carry you through in your business. So with your new venture, which is so exciting, again, as an Australian with teenage daughters myself, my daughter loves Yochi. So when you told me over coffee that you were bringing Yochi here, I couldn't believe it. Incredible.
Thank
Yochi
you.
is so loved, of course, in Australia where it started, and you're the co-founder, is that right, to bring it here to Singapore?
Well, yeah, co-owner. I didn't by any means found the business because it's operated in Australia for over 13 years, and they have 60 outlets
60,
plus.
wow.
Yeah. So it is the product of a joint venture, between Australia and Singapore.
So what made you go, okay, this is what I want to do with Meat Club well underway and being incredibly successful?
Yeah, I think the introduction actually came through my husband's side of the business, and he's also very heavily involved, and there is a lot of crossover with the GYG team. Again, I can't sit here and take any credit. This is not a one-woman show. This is an enormous team, including the team in venue. We've got incredible operations heads, Bon and Jasper, just to name a few. But it came about through a mutual introduction, would you believe, of two people surfing in Byron Bay.
Okay.
And
As should be.
they were surfing with Janine Ellis, who is also the owner of Boost Juice.
Yeah.
And they made the connection with Josh. Josh being Josh, actually introduced me because there was a period of time I mentioned before when I was working as a consultant that I was very distracted.
Yeah.
So as well as working in GYG, I had started and ended another frozen yogurt concept here in Singapore called Cocoa Whip. Yeah, many moons ago.
Wow, okay.
So it was a very different model. We were bringing in product to Singapore from Australia, and then cafes like Sarni's in the CBD who were holding it. They had to invest in the machinery, which was very expensive, and I acted as a distributor. So I've always been very passionate about, good quality ingredients. And Cocoa Whip kind of fit that mold, but unfortunately it didn't fly. It was expensive. It wasn't quite sweet enough for the Singapore palate.
Okay.
And that was, heartbreaking to close down, but it was my mini MBA.
Yeah.
I learned a lot in that process, setting up a Xero account. I have no formal training in marketing or accounting, so a lot of this has been learned on the job.
And so was that at the same time as... Oh, that was before. Sorry, just that was before.
Yeah, so I was moved to Singapore working as a consultant, crossed over with Cocoa Whip, got made redundant. Okay. Had a choice between, Meat Club and Cocoa Whip. Sorry, this is all sounding
it's all part of the journey though, isn't it? So those learnings obviously set you up for
mini MBA. Yeah. So I got on a call with Janine, who I'm a huge fan of, and I was like, oh, you actually need to talk to Josh. He's, operationally, systems, he's a perfect match for you. Yeah. So I kind of flicked it back to Josh, so to speak. And I think it was a real natural fit. The family and the business itself was just so exciting for us. And to see an opportunity to bring another Australian band into Singapore, it was almost a no-brainer. And they've been wonderful to work with. And again, we've been so heavily supported by Singapore. We're so grateful. It's been really, really amazing and a fun journey, really fun.
So you opened in Orchard, which is, where you want to be.
Yes.
So that was that late last year or?
Yeah, August last year. Yeah.
And how many months was that in the making? Like how long did it take for you to?
Not long. No, once we signed the JV over dinner at Dempsey, we signed our first site relatively quickly, and between the Australian and Singapore teams we were able to get the plans off the ground and get it executed pretty quickly.
Amazing. And I know that it's been so well received. Every time I walk past it, there's always a long line.
Thank you.
A lot of hype, but good hype in terms of a lot of interest and buzz. And I was reading that you've also introduced local flavours to the amazing base that you, I guess, is the same from Australia. And I know part of Yochi and why, I mean, it's an incredible brand, and the experience of picking what you want on top of your yogurt is, I know that's why my daughter loves it.
Yes.
So I was fascinated by that, because I also, think those localizations and kind of adapting to the local market, and obviously you've got so much experience in that, is part of.
Huge.
So again, could you talk a little bit about or share, like how do you arrive at those decisions, and what else kind of have you had to do to localize the brand?
Well, I think the yogurts, so there's 10 pools, 5 machines, 2 flavors each. Those flavors, the R&D is based in Australia. A flavor that may or may not be coming up this year is very much targeted towards the Singapore palate, and we're very excited to bring that up. So that's exciting.
So your R&D is done still in Australia, but
Correct.
you will feedback around what will work.
Yeah. So some of that product's actually coming up next week for us to try.
Can I guess the flavour?
No, because even if you do, and it's correct, I'm really bad at a poker face. So that's, the yogurts take a lot longer. Whereas the toppings bar, of which there's 30 odd options, if you don't double up, there is an opportunity for us to really acknowledge the Singapore local flavors and the heritage brands that have, survived in Singapore over the course of time. And I think I mentioned previously in an interview, and I can't state it enough, that really the support that we've had in both the Meat Club and GYG has left such a mark on my time here, and I'm so grateful for it. I owe so much to Singapore, so does my family. And if I can use the Yochi platform to elevate local heritage brands by putting them on our toppings bar, then it's a win-win situation. We have the opportunity, obviously, to collaborate from very well-established brands, but my preference is to elevate these, potentially, I'm not going to use the word small, but might have a smaller, our social media is very strong, for example. So being able to add their brand to our reach, it can be enormous. And I don't mean to toot my horn in saying that, but we've recently collaborated with a local heritage brand called Tiap Tiap. And this is the first kind of big style activation that we've done in Singapore. And the excitement that you can see within their team and our team, to bring these 2 toppings, love letters and orange chiffon cake for our Chinese New Year campaign has been wonderful. So these are all what we call LTOs, limited time offers, that will run on the toppings bar on average for 3 weeks. And in each case, it's an opportunity to get people to come in, get people that haven't been before to come and try it, and making sure that from a collaboration point of view, there's there's mutual synergies there to make sure that it makes sense.
That's incredible. And anything else that that you would recommend in terms of, again, like localizing brands that may be coming into this market? You mentioned partnerships, community supporting, because I'm interested in this space because, again, I think what's so beautiful about what you and Josh are doing is you've got that ability to really understand the local market and adapt and kind of integrate, but in a very authentic way that's respectful to the local market.
Definitely.
I feel so many businesses unfortunately don't come in with that mindset and often struggle to respect, the markets that they're going into, and that's where I see a lot of businesses fail. So I guess, those businesses that like yours, like mine, where we're here and we are in the market and integrated into the local market, I think that's, again, part of that secret sauce to tapping in to these amazing opportunities, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. I mean, there's a whole region here as well. But you do it exceptionally well. So what would your advice be to fellow entrepreneurs or people who want to bring in brands to this market?
Well, a lot. I think addressing like the whole collaborations and partnerships angle, that's definitely an opportunity that I, again, am so excited to see Singapore embracing, because for years I was banging on people's doors, particularly for the Meat Club, to collaborate with us, and it was like, no, not really, like not right now, maybe come and circle back to us in a little while. And the thing with collaborations and partnerships is that you just cut through so much marketing noise, and you're no longer chasing people around the internet, because people are getting cut through because there's so much excitement around the collaboration itself. So that's absolutely one opportunity, and I think that's now going without saying, because a lot of brands are doing it now, which is super exciting. I think from a localization point of view, it doesn't just stop at, you know, collaborations and even taste, like toppings, for example, or in the case of GYG, like they did butter chicken, which did extremely well. It's more just understanding cultural nuances, and I won't go into the details of that, but I think you have to really listen always. And that sounds so cliche now that I say it out aloud, but
kind of easier said than done. Like, I think saying it's one thing, but practicing and doing it.
You know, I think. Yeah, and I don't want to get into comparisons between Australia and Singapore, but, you know, there's a lot of, there's just, people work differently, you know, and some people will thrive in one environment while they won't in the other. And I think you really have to make sure that not only do you listen, but once you have listened and gained those insights, it's another step to actually implement it. In Singapore, we've wrapped technology and systems around everything that we do, and that has enabled us to you know, what's my favorite saying, look at the forest from the trees, you know, really take a bird's eye view of where everything is at. So localization, I think, comes more in just what you're offering on your menu. It's a lot of it is behind the scenes, back of house stuff too.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It has to go deeper, has to be more authentic. You've got to have such respect for, and I think that's one of the things that I think when you master that and then you live and breathe it, again, that separates out, I think, the successful, sustainable brands who are doing exceptionally well here, such as the brands that you keep. It's an amazing story. Maybe you should be writing a book next, Amy. No, I mean, I think it's incredible, and you have so much to be proud about.
I appreciate that.
We go into, as we're doing this episode today, we're just around the corner from International Women's Day, when we first met all those years ago. And I think sharing stories of other amazing female entrepreneurs is part of our future, and nurturing the next generation, which my girls will be in that, as will your girls. Can you just talk, I mean, we're probably kind of towards the end, but just a little bit about how you feel about, you know, as a role model for this next generation, being a mama of two girls.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't really count myself as a role model.
Oh, you are.
That's a very generous description, or title, I should say. Wow. I think for me, when I look back, I held a lot of resentment towards the idea of not having a lot of time with my daughters when they were babies. The fortunate story that, and you know, the flip side of that has been that now, despite, you know, what goes on behind the scenes with work, I very much am able to dictate my time in and around work, when I work, when I don't, when I'm present, when I'm not. And I'm so grateful for that. Despite what's going on behind the scenes, I allow myself, you know, I very often will ride the girls to school. And if I can, I'll pick them up again on the bike. I am very, very transparent with them about every aspect of life, whether or not it's, you know, a woman being a woman and what changes that involves, like topic for another time as well, all the way down to, you know, why do we work, and what are we doing this for, and making them really understand, you know, if dad's not home for dinner, you know, what is he doing? It's not just work, but it's working towards an opportunity for our future. And I guess bridging that gap for them to not just understand the now, it's like what is one step forward again. Always looking ahead, and not necessarily living in the future, but just seeing the bigger picture. I think that's really important for them. So in terms of a role model, I really try and what's the description? This sounds like something I would say to them when they were 3. Monkey see, monkey do.
I love your saying.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to have to take that one. Yeah.
But, you can't talk about healthy living if you don't eat well.
Oh.
You can't talk about having a strong body if you don't move. You can't talk about, work-life balance if you don't put that into practice. You can't talk about enjoying something, for example, work, if you are hating it on the side, and they can hear that, they can see it.
Yeah.
So, if ever there's a moment where, heaven forbid, I feel overwhelmed, I'm very, very open with them about it and why that's happening, and, that I'll get through it, but these are the steps that I'm taking to make sure that happens. So, just making them feel like they're part of the conversation, not just a side note as well. Yeah.
How old are your girls now?
They're 6. Sorry. Oh my gosh. No.
I keep thinking that
they're 8 and 10.
8 and 10.
They're 8 and 10. Oh my gosh.
They're growing. They're growing.
they
I keep thinking of them as like very, very little, but they're growing girls. And, my daughters, we were talking about that before, now 19 and 16. I kind of have to pinch myself when I say that. But I just find, as you're talking about some of that, when you're like doing what we do, like creating a business, running a business, being a mother, I've known taking my girls on the journey and including them, rightly or wrongly. I'm sure people have got views of it, but I've brought my girls to openings, to my events, like they've been integrated into as part of the journey. And it's very interesting. You'll see it when your girls get older. It's now the age of the girls are out when they describe, or you can see that upbringing playing out in the way they view the world or the way they're approaching things. So you've got that to look forward to in terms of seeing your daughters and how they will grow up with this amazing journey that they've been part of.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, they will.
I hope so.
They will indeed.
We were only talking the other day. We tend to have breakfast together before school, and I mean they're not yet on one of those really early buses, so I'm very fortunate for that. And same for dinner actually. But we were talking, just about work, and I think one of my proudest moments was when they were talking about I would like to run Yochi or the Me Club, or in the case of GYG, and I was like, that's if there's even a small amount of pride for them to a point that they wanted to get involved, that feels very, very rewarding.
Oh, it's lovely. I mean, I often now talk about, I'm not sure whether the girls will ever come into the business, although my oldest daughter's been doing some work with me, but I look forward to collaborating. Like one of my Amelie, she wants to go into screen production, so I might imagine combining the business skills that they've grown up around with and doing that, or doing some social venture work with Charlotte. So maybe the 3 of you will be ruling the world. Amy, you and your girls. So Amy, tell me, what is next for the wonderful Amy Bell?
Oh, wow, what's next? I like to take one day at a time. That's just my own way of, I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to, because I don't know of another one, but it's kind of my coping mechanism just to deal with the volume of things that come into my life day in and day out. And I really try and avoid using words like stress and being busy, because I think that it's a terminology that, in my case, and this is just my personal experience, it has a very negative connotation, and I really try and look at things like stress as more a giver of energy rather than a drainer. So, I've got to pack for some travel tomorrow, of which I haven't turned my head to, because I just really try and take one step at a time. Yeah. I really try and be focused and, complete one task before I go on to the next. Not to say that I'm not looking into the future, but I think that really helps me manage things, both personally and work, Amy. But in terms of I like this question, the future. The Meat Club, we are actively working on more in-person events. We've re-engineered an offer that we used to have called Free Mince for Life to Free Protein for Life.
Okay.
So as a subscriber, no matter the cadence of your frequency subscription, so this could be weekly, fortnightly, 3 weekly or monthly, you get a free pack of either beef mince or chicken breast in your delivery, no questions asked. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's, again, our way of giving back to a community that has supported us through the subscription model, because we can then forecast order demands from Australia. It means our holding costs in Singapore are lower in our warehouse because the pallet space is lower. And just to really encourage people to just take one task off their mental list. Yeah. So I think for the Me Club, it's very much, driving those community events, continuing to bring value, whatever way, shape or form that takes, to our subscription community. For Yochi, we may or may not have signed another lease or two. So that's coming up very soon.
It's exciting.
There'll be more collaborations and partnerships coming on board. That's all in the pipeline. I think that will end up being a fairly busy middle period of the year.
Wow. And can I ask, will you be beating the GYG record?
Oh God.
Any future predictions there?
Oh gosh,
the way you're going?
No. I think, I'm so proud of what Josh and the GYG team have achieved. It's not to say I'm very competitive. I mean, my sister was an Olympian, so that has to account for something. But I think for GYG, I mean, they've got their own targets and they've got their own, marketing roadmap. And what I've seen, there's some very exciting things to come there.
Are there any other markets? So I'm just also interested, because we talk a lot about Singapore, but Southeast Asia is just all around us.
It's actually so funny you should raise that, because for the longest time we were looking at expanding one of the businesses into Southeast Asia. And for one reason or another, of which I won't go into, our hands are fairly tied behind our backs. And at that time, we were very frustrated and felt like, I don't want to use the word cheated, but it just felt like we were, forced into a position where we couldn't grow. And now, on the flip side with Yochi, that opportunity probably wouldn't have come to us if we had expanded into Southeast Asia, because we would have been seen to be too distracted.
Oh, okay.
So I never say no. I think initially the plan was to very much focus on Southeast Asia, but it's funny how whenever you look at a negative, there is always a positive. So the negative feeling tied to Singapore, I love Singapore, but not being able to expand into Southeast Asia was very frustrating. But on the flip side, if there's an opportunity for us to be specialists in Singapore and to help bring more brands into the region, one, we are very fortunate to have the local knowledge that we now have. Two, we love Singapore and everything it gives us and our girls, safety as well, cleanliness.
It's the best place to raise children.
It genuinely is.
And I absolutely believe, like you, that I have so much to thank Singapore. It's the mighty little red dot that just keeps giving.
It is. And I think being able to have an environment where we're not having to travel locally or internationally. I mean, we've got a lot of friends that are traveling to Europe and to America every other day, and the time on the flights, the time away from your kids. I feel very fortunate that, yes, frustration aside, this is looking really amazing. This is fantastic.
Better advertisement for Singapore, really, Amy.
I'm happy.
Singapore is
I never
place
say
to
no.
be.
It's actually probably my worst characteristic, because I genuinely don't say no.
That's okay.
I will always try and find a yes. Much to my team's frustration.
Again, another sign of a great entrepreneur. You're well and truly an entrepreneur. Amy, final words around any other advice you would give to people that are considering going into business, or those maybe back home in Australia who might be considering Asia, particularly Singapore?
Just give it a go. Just start. I was made redundant. I feel like for so many people that is such a negative experience, and of course it is at the time, but again, the upside is just so significant. Meat Club certainly wouldn't have started. We wouldn't be where we are today. I think the other thing to remember is I described Cocoa Whip, but even back in the day when I was working as a lawyer in Sydney and I was relatively disgruntled, we needed the income, but I didn't particularly love my job. I was doing condiments at the Bondi's Farmers Market on a Saturday.
Okay.
And it was such great training ground to stop people in their tracks. And, I was making condiments that have got a short shelf life: pesto, hummus,
Amazing.
tahini.
Food has
Tapenade.
always been there. Like, it's part of your journey, I think.
Yeah, I don't like the label foodie. Who isn't a foodie at the end of the day? But I've always enjoyed whole food and quality ingredients, and I always will have at least one of those condiments in our fridge at home, without a doubt. But just going back to the question about starting, it doesn't have to be as big and scary as you think. It can start with a stall that you hire for one afternoon or one morning. In my case, it was this Saturday Bondi's Farmers Market, to just try your hand, get some experience. There's nothing to lose. And the fellow that I was actually sharing a booth with, he would not remember me now, but his product, it's called Trader Joe's or Trader Joe's Trader. It's a black granola bag with like zigzag on it, and he and I would always exchange product on a Saturday for breakfast. We'd have the granola for breakfast and the condiments a bit later. But big brands start from something small. So I would just take away the idea of it being this like behemoth monster to just stepping all the way back. What can you do now? Today, own a domain. Go out and do a little store. Go and sell some stuff in your. We live in a condo. It's a huge community in condos.
Yeah.
That's a bit different for Australia, obviously, but reach out to people. You'd be amazed at the number of people that will set aside an hour over coffee. Lean into the contacts. I'm going a little bit further here. That's the last point, but lean into the contacts you have and seek out mentors, because if you can surround yourself by people that are far smarter than you, which is, I think, my secret sauce. I've always recognized I'm often, the dumbest person in the room. There's always something to learn. And I might be here representing these brands, but there is an army of people, that are working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that those brands continue to thrive. Yeah. I think that answered the question.
It did.
Sorry, it's a bit roundabout.
No, I've had such a pleasure chatting with you. It's been very natural and fun and enjoyable, as it always is. So thank you so much for coming on Business the Heart Way.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe people will be reaching out to you about getting something off the ground. So thank you, my darling. And here's to the Meat Club.
Thank you, Gemma.
Here's to the Meat Club.
Thank you very
Yochi
much.
and TYT.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.